What the heck is up, guys? It's Jacob here, and today we're in the den, so it's a little bit louder. We got the server rack running in the back. So, in this video we're going to be taking a look at Proxmox virtual environment. Now, for the longest time I've gotten so many comments on my videos, I don't even know, and they're all saying, why don't I run virtual machines? Well, I run virtual machines on my desktop, and then I've gotten heat for that too. People were like, well, you run them on your desktop, so why don't you run them on your servers? Well, I don't know, I never really got into it, never really cared too much, didn't really have a reason to. Now that I have Windows Server 2012 and I'm starting to do a lot of experimenting with that, hopefully coming soon, I want to run a virtual server, which would be nice, so that I can actually just have a server where I can have just a ton of operating systems on it. If I ever want to work on a project in a specific operating system, I can work on it in there, and also it doesn't matter if I really screw up the operating system because I can just create a new one instantly. That's what's great about virtual machines. So I do it a lot on my desktop, but I want to have an actual dedicated server just for running all those operating systems in a virtual machine. One of the reasons I was so reluctant to get into it was because I thought, you know, I didn't really know of any open source alternatives to VMware, Oracle VMware, and it's very expensive, and you know, I was thinking maybe I can somehow get, you know, like a license to that for free, you know, find a way to get one of those, or like get a student version or something, I don't know, but usually you're not going to get a student version of like the Oracle VM that goes on servers and stuff. So I was on the forum one day and someone was talking about Proxmox, which is like an open source virtual environment to go on servers, and I finally considered it, and I downloaded it and installed it onto a CD, and we're going to run it on one of my servers. I'm going to install it here and show you guys that, and then we'll show it to you how it works in the web browser, because it runs in a web browser. It's actually really cool. I'm not sure actually what it's based on. It's based on a Linux operating system. I don't know what really operating system it's based on, really, in particular. I don't think it's FreeBSD, I think it is Linux. So yeah, a lot of other operating systems that I work with are FreeBSD based, like what's it called, pfSense, stuff like that, or pfSense, and the other one is FreeNAS. It's FreeBSD based. So this one's actually based on Linux, I believe. Don't hold me on that, but anyways, it's really cool. It runs in a web browser. One thing I hate about it though is that it has to be installed on a CD. I mentioned this in the forums that I had the problem with it because it boots on a USB flash drive, but it won't install. It gives an error saying that it's looking for the CD-ROM drive, which is really stupid that they've kind of made it to where it only installs through a CD, because a lot of servers, especially in what do you say, like production environments, don't have CD drives. I was lucky that my server had a CD drive. It does fit on a CD. It doesn't have to be a DVD. It's only like less than 200 megs or something like that, I think. It might be, actually, I think it might be like 400 megs, one of the two. Anyways, so it'll fit on a CD, which is really handy, because if it doesn't fit on a CD, then you're really screwed, because chances of your server having a DVD drive is very low. So it fits on a CD, but you can't boot it off a USB. And I would imagine it also would give an error if you tried to PXE boot it, if you try to put it on a server through PXE. So the only way to do it is through a CD, which is kind of slow, it's a pain in the ass, and it's just very stupid. But anyways, with that out of the way, we'll go ahead and take a look at throwing this on one of my servers. I actually recently took down my 1850 and took the operating system off there, and I installed it on the 1850. And in my last video, I said that I erased my 2950, and I think I might put it on my 2950. I might also put just a whole new operating system on my 2950. I don't really want to run virtual operating systems, I don't think, inside my 2950. So we'll go ahead and take a look at installing this, and then we'll install it on my, I'll show you guys it running in my 1850. So let's go ahead and look at it. I'll install it on my 2950 right now, and we'll take a look at it. Alright guys, so sorry about the noise. We have the 2950 booting here. I just set the boot priority with the CD first, so the CD will boot first. We currently have Ubuntu 12.10 on here, I believe, Ubuntu Server 12.10, and it's pretty much was just for file server. It doesn't have anything on there anymore. Just to give you guys a quick rundown of this, since I don't know if you guys have seen my other videos, but this has 6 750 gig hard drives in it, and they are in RAID 5. The Proxmox does recognize the RAID cards, which is really handy. I'm very happy that it does recognize the RAID cards, because if it didn't, we'd be really screwed for these Dell PowerEdge servers. Anyways, so it just booted into the CD. I'm gonna go ahead and turn, I don't know how it's gonna look if I turn this light off. Whatever. Okay, so it looks like this when we boot it, and it just has this thing that says push return to boot. So, grab the keyboard here real quick, and try and do this all with one hand here. Just gonna go ahead and hit enter. Now, you can't really see much, and it's very, very slow. I forgot to mention this. On a CD, it's incredibly slow. I think I did say that earlier. It sucks because it's slow. But anyways, we go here, and then it just sits here for a while, and it loads all the files. On a USB, it's very quick, and this is actually where it starts to fail on a USB. And then on a CD, it takes like 2 years. So if I go ahead and hit F2 for the verbose mode just is kind of like showing you what the heck's going on here. It just shows you. And if you were on a USB, it would say it could not mount. It could not mount the CD drive or unmount the CD drive. So the problem is that you have to install it through a CD, which is really stupid. Anyways, so this is what it does, and it'll detect all your settings and crap, and it loads all the files. It's just, you know, normal operating system install. There's really no questions or prompts or anything quite yet. It'll probably sit here for a few minutes. Let's see. Oh. And then it'll get to a screen like this, and it'll probably stay black for a few minutes. Yesterday I thought it wasn't going to work. I thought it wasn't going to load. It would just sit here at this white screen. And if you sit here long enough, it might go a lot faster on my 2950 actually. It took forever on my 1850, but it'll actually bring up a little bit of a GUI. It has a mouse and everything, so it's not like 100% command line or anything. Not anything like Ubuntu server, but the operating system itself is command line on the server, but it does have a GUI tool for a web browser, which is really nice. So up there's the mouse, so hopefully it'll actually come up pretty quick in this video. I'll probably just actually skip to where it does load up, because it sits here for quite some time before it does load up, because it has to load all the files from the CD. So we'll skip to that right now. Alright guys, so here we are at the little GUI. So first thing is, of course, the license agreement. Of course, you must read all this. If you don't read all this, it won't work. So you have to read it line by line. And then once you've read it all, hit I agree, but only once you've read it all. If you don't, like I said, if you don't read it, it's just not going to work. So we'll go ahead and hit I agree, because I read this earlier off camera. So you just kind of put in your basic information. It's just going to ask for your country and all that crap. So we're going to put in our time zone. That is America, Los Angeles. It's kind of hard doing this on the camera. Let's see, America, Los Angeles. And we'll go ahead and hit next. So it knows what millennium it's in. And like I said, it is a little slow. It's on a CD. It's loading everything from a CD. Okay, so saying the password's too short, it kind of skipped ahead of itself. So we'll go ahead and put a password in and an email. I'll do that. I'm just going to do that real quick off camera, because it's kind of hard to do this, hold the camera and type the password at the same time. So I'll do this real quick. Alright guys, so I put in the password. The password, just so you guys know, is password. And then my email, which is admin@email.com. So we're going to put in the FQDN and the IP address. So in my case, it's actually getting a DHCP address. It detects the gateway, which is 10.0.0.1. And I don't know if you guys have seen the rest of my videos, but way back when I set up my pfSense firewall, my gateway, it actually gives out DHCP addresses of .100 and higher. So, and then everything below .100, it will not give out a DHCP address. Those are all my static addresses. So this server normally has a static address, and its old IP address was 10.0.0.7. So I'm actually going to erase the IP address that it was given, this 10.0.0.150. I'm going to go ahead and put .7 in there. So go ahead and do that real quick. There we go. So it has 10.0.0.7. The netmask looks good for this network, and so does the gateway and DNS server. The FQDN, I'm just going to leave that default for now, what it was. So let's go ahead and just proceed to the next page. And it actually, it did not let me continue with that default FQDN, the one that it had in there. So I just put in my domain name for my network, which is thehackhub.com. And we'll just hit next, see what crap it wants from me now. Okay, so actually here's where it loads it. And pretty much from here on out, there's really no questions, there's no nothing, it just loads it, and then once you're done, it may ask you like to do something or whatever. Usually it asks to reboot, so then that's pretty much it. So we'll wait for this to load and we'll come back when it's done. Alright guys, so I just rebooted the server, and it's about to boot into the OS right now. So there it goes. So then, of course, just like any other thing, you have like a little grub boot manager, and it has all the mem tests, and then it has also like the rescue mode and all that, those types of modes, and then it has the normal mode, and it boots to the normal mode. So here it is. It resembles Linux a lot. So it's just gonna boot. It only does all this the first time, I think. But anyways, there it goes. And then there's the login. So it actually took me a couple tries to figure out the login until I figured out the default login was root, because I mean, I thought it was my email, because that's why it asked for my email, but apparently it wasn't, because it asked for my email and password at the same time. But actually the password is the password that you put in, and the default username is root. So you just go ahead and type in root and your password, and then that'll get you in there. I don't really know too many commands we can use for this operating system in particular. I'm just using kind of the GUI in the web browser, but I would imagine it's very similar to Linux. I have used a couple Linux commands in here, but it has weird things, like it doesn't really recognize the sudo, so when I type in sudo, it doesn't recognize that. But anyways, there's the login, HTTPS, so it is a secure site. Of course, the certificate's not really signed, or it's not, you know, up to date or whatever, so it's gonna always give you an error in the browser. Just go ahead and click next. So there's the address that we set, the static address, and then port 8006. It's a weird port number, but yeah, I'm pretty sure you can change that somehow, and if anything, you can just port forward it to a different number. But yeah, that's it. So we're gonna go ahead and access that through a browser, and we'll go ahead and switch to the on-screen recording now. Alright guys, so here we are in the web GUI of the Proxmox virtual environment. So anyways, when we get here, I mean, it shows, first thing, let's look at what kind of a browser I'm using. Now, you guys know I absolutely hate Internet Explorer, okay? Now, there's a reason why I'm using it, and I haven't really had much time to play around with it, so I would prefer not to use Internet Explorer. I'm trying to get it to work on my other computer, and I think I'm pretty close, but anyways, it's a combination of everything, honestly. Java, Windows 8, and then the browser combined. So, if we pull this up in, I'm just going to go ahead and close Google Chrome, because I don't know what was open in there, and I don't want to open it and have a bunch of boring pop-ups. So, anyways, if I just go ahead and open it up here, HTTPS, and there it is. So, of course, it's going to give me the certificate error thingamajig saying that it's not trusted. Just, you know, ignore that. I wish I could have, like, auto-ignore on that. So, the username is root, and the password is password. And then we're just going to hit login. So, it's going to give me this crap. I don't know what that is. I'm just going to ignore it. Like I said, guys, this is brand new for me, so I haven't really had much time to play with this. I'm not going to give you, like, an in-depth look, but I'll show you guys how we can set up a virtual server and all this stuff. And it actually works really nice. One thing I do have to say is it's incredibly slow so far. It's very, very, very slow. But I don't know if that's because of the settings I put on the virtual server that I made. I think I did put them rather low. So I'll make another virtual server. But it's taken me so far, you know, over an hour just to install Ubuntu server 12.10 or whatever it is, or 12.04. So it's very slow. Anyways, so this is it in Google Chrome. The problem is once I've made a virtual server, which I already have made a virtual server. Oh, by the way, guys, and I just want to show you guys that this is not the .7 address. This is actually my PowerEdge 1850. I wanted to turn off my 2950 because it was getting very hot, and I already have started it up and got it kind of going in the 1850. So it says exactly the same as what it would look like in the 2950. If I booted it into that one too. It's just that it wouldn't have this virtual machine already made. I'll show you guys how to make a virtual machine here in a minute. But anyways, so whatever I don't even know what I was talking about. Okay, so when we go to look at the virtual machine, so this is the Ubuntu server virtual machine I made. So I'm gonna go ahead and click on the Hack Hub. That's the node that we made. Remember, we named it the domain name, the FQDN, the Hack Hub. So that's where it gets that from. And then this is the virtual server that I've made. These are all the statistics on it. It's CPU usage, all that crap. This is the memory usage on the server, how much RAM is used, the network traffic for that ISO, and then the disk I/O for that particular virtual machine over time. All these graphs are just its usage over time. So, anyways, in order to actually access this machine and actually interface to it, what you need to do is go to a console. I've already started it, so I can shut down, stop, reset the machine. But what we're going to do is go to a console. Now, this is the issue so far. This is why I have to use Internet Explorer. It's because it needs this Java plugin, and I'm having a lot of trouble getting that to work so far. It's just not working with Google Chrome for some reason. So I'm going to have to investigate into that a little bit more, because I really do love Google Chrome. But it does work pretty well in Internet Explorer, surprisingly. But yeah, that's just a Java issue. And then also, Windows 8 won't really run Java with Chrome because it's an unsigned driver issue. So then I have to go fix that, and it's a lot of crap. So anyways, here we are running in Internet Explorer, and then that same window that I just popped up, the console window, is right here. So this is the actual Linux virtual machine. It's still installing, not even lying. This thing is still installing the virtual machine. So it's still installing the Linux operating system onto the virtual machine. And let's go ahead and take a look at this server. So you can see that here on the side, things aren't being displayed right. There's just a bunch of dots, and it's really slow and laggy, and it works like crap in Internet Explorer. So I just wanted to show you guys that this does work in Internet Explorer. This is actually how we would interface with the machine. Start, shut down, stop, all this crap is all up here. So and what's also nice is if I go ahead and close this, it doesn't end my session. It doesn't close the virtual machine. It doesn't stop it, because it's running on a server. Whereas if you had, say, VirtualBox and you closed it, it would stop the machine because you're closing the program on your computer. When you're closing this, you're just closing the interface. We're not actually stopping the machine from keeping its processes going, because the server in itself, the physical Dell PowerEdge 1850, is still running. So if I go ahead and access it again here on the Google Chrome, let's go ahead and I'll show you guys how we can actually create a virtual machine and upload an ISO and whatnot. So anyway, here we are. Just hit OK. This is kind of all the tasks that have happened. It's kind of a log of the tasks. It shows errors and all that stuff here. Anything that you do pretty much goes down to this bar down here. So that's kind of handy. It lets me see what's happened on this server, on this node. So just to kind of show you guys, this is just an overview. This basically shows us, it's a summary, just like it says, or this is basically a summary. So this thing, the Hack Hub here, is the actual physical node. That's the entire Dell PowerEdge 1850. It contains all the virtual machines inside of it. So this is the actual physical disks. These are the physical actual hard drives on my server. These are not virtual disks. This is the actual hard drives on my Dell PowerEdge 1850. This is the actual RAM usage on the PowerEdge 1850. This is the real CPU usage, and that's 4 CPUs. Those are the 4 cores, 2 processors running dual core, and this is the uptime. So this here is the virtual machine. So this is the ID of the virtual machine. You can see this is an actual node, and this is a QEMU or whatever. We'll look into that in a second. I'll show you. Anyway, this is the memory usage for this particular machine, this virtual machine, depending on what I've set the memory usage to on that machine. This is how much percent. You can see that it uses more RAM in this virtual machine than in the actual physical machine. That's because I set the RAM limit a lot lower in the virtual machine, and this is the uptime of this virtual machine. So there's a lot of stuff you can see here. It shows you just a bunch of crap. You know, you can figure all this out on your own. It's pretty self-explanatory, and like I said, I haven't really played around with it much. I just kind of gotten it running and working. So anyways, let's go ahead and go over here and let's double click on, or not double click, but let's click on, well, you can go here and it'll show you this, but then you can go here and it'll show you, like I showed you, all the statistics of this particular server. But we can also go over here and edit all the stuff, all the changes. This is all the options and stuff. But let's actually create a new virtual machine, because I didn't show you guys how I created this virtual machine. So we can go up to the top here and hit create VM, right? So here you can see that the node, this is what node we're going to install on. This is the actual server. Now there's only one node here. If we had more than one Proxmox server, the other Proxmox servers would show up here. So I only have one Proxmox server running right now. Like I said, the 2950 is off. So this is the VM ID. It's sort of like just a unique ID to this virtual machine. The last one we made was 100, so this one will be 101. We can make it whatever we want, and then we can give it a name. So we'll just give it a name of test. How about that? So, and then let's leave the resource pool blank for now. So if we hit next, it's going to ask us what kind of OS we want to install. So obviously you would know that on your own. If you're installing a Windows type of OS, you're going to select which type of Windows you're running. And then if you're running a Linux or all those other types of OSs, they're going to go over here. Pretty much if you're running like any type of Linux OS, it's probably going to be a Linux 3 or higher kernel. And then anything like FreeBSD or anything like that is probably going to go in here as well. I don't know if it's a Linux kernel on FreeBSD, but anyways, let's just select the Linux 3.x kernel. So we'll hit next, and then it's going to ask us how do we want to install this virtual machine. So, and where do we want to store it? We want to store it on the local directory. This is a local machine. That's really our only option. And then it's going to ask us what ISO image we want to use. So these are ISOs that I've uploaded to the server. Now I'll show you guys in a second how we can upload an ISO to the server, but we can select any of the ISOs that we've uploaded, or we can use a physical CD drive, or we can just choose not to use any media, and then when we boot up, it'll boot up just like a normal computer without an operating system, and it'll say, it'll give you your boot options. You can go into PXE or whatever and do all that. But anyway, let's go ahead and actually just use an ISO image. Let's just go ahead and put a let's make another Ubuntu image. So let's use the let's make a virtual desktop this time. So this is the 12.04 x86 desktop. Let's go ahead and hit next, and then I'm just gonna make a SATA drive. It'll be SATA 0, storage is local. We're gonna set the disk size. I'm just gonna go ahead and set it to 16 gigs for now. And then this is how it's going to store it. We can store it as a raw disk image, or this QEMU, I don't even honestly know what that is, or a VMware image format. Now that's pretty cool, because that means it would be compatible with VMware as well. So if for some reason you ever wanted to switch from Proxmox to VMware, or you ever wanted to for some reason export your virtual machines on here to a VMware disk, you could use this option. I'm just gonna leave it as that for now. It's gonna ask you if you want to use caching. We're just gonna go ahead and leave that as no cache for now, and then the limits, we're gonna leave those for now, and sockets. So this is the CPU. You can make fake CPUs on here, like you have 4 sockets, so it can make you feel like you have a really winner server when really you are just running on an old server. You only have, these are all virtual sockets, virtual CPUs, so you can select what kind of CPU you want to run. It has a few options. I wish it had the Xeon. I think that's actually the host. I think that's the host, which is a Xeon. Whatever your actual server is running. My actual server is running a Xeon. Let's run a Sandy Bridge, and then we'll run 2 sockets of 8 cores, giving us 16 cores. That's pretty good, right? So we'll go ahead and hit next, and then now we can use a fixed memory size, so it allocates a certain amount of memory to this VM, we're going to go ahead and actually use a range, a minimum and a maximum memory. So for the maximum memory, I'm just going to say 2048, so we'll give it 2 gigs. The minimum memory, I'm just going to say 512. We'll give it half a gig of minimum memory. We'll go ahead and hit next on that. And then you can choose the network you want to use. We can use you can give it a virtual bridge network card. You can give it these virtual network cards, or you can actually use the network card that's in the machine itself. This is the actual network interface device that I have on my Dell PowerEdge 1850. I'm just gonna leave everything else as default for now. I'm just gonna hit next, and then this just gives you an overview of what you've set up. So we'll go ahead and hit finish, and we can see that it now popped up. I don't believe I gave it a name. Maybe I didn't. Oh yeah, I did name it test. Okay. So anyway, there's the name. So here we can see just an overview of the options. This is the hardware on the server, the summary, and that's that. So when we go to options, it'll give you an error depending on what you kind of machine you're actually running this on, the physical machine. If your processor supports virtualization, then you can leave this as yes. But a lot of older CPUs or smaller CPUs are not going to support this. My particular Intel Xeons on this machine, I don't believe have it. I know for a fact I don't have it enabled in the BIOS, but if you do have it enabled in the BIOS, definitely leave this enabled and use this feature. But in my case, and in your case, if you're not sure, just uncheck it. It'll always work for sure if you just uncheck it, but it'll allow a little bit extra power. It'll be a little bit smoother if you do have this hardware virtualization, and it'll also allow you to run 64-bit operating systems inside your server if you do that. But you have to have that support in your processor, and that's done through the BIOS. So I'm just gonna go ahead and hit no on that, and we can actually start this server right now if we wanted to. So we'll start this, and we'll come to it in a minute in the console under Internet Explorer. But showing you guys how to actually install those ISOs, let's go ahead and take a look at that. So right now we're in the server view. Let's go ahead and go to the storage view. So if we go to the storage view, we go to the Hack Hub, local, the Hack Hub, and then we can go to where are we? The Hack Hub, and then we go to content, and then here, this is all the content. So these are my 2 virtual machines. These are the actual images of my virtual machines. Whoops, these are their sizes and all the information about those. And then here we have the ISO images, which I have already uploaded. These are all the images I've uploaded so far. So if you do want to upload a new image, we just go ahead and hit upload right here, and you can select a local file on your computer. You just hit ISO image, or you can choose other types of upload formats, and you just select the ISO file from your computer and upload it. And it's for some reason not working. It's not working right now, but it did work before, trust me, because I was able to upload it. Of course, for the tutorial it would not upload. That's how it always works out. Whenever I'm actually recording, things just don't work. But anyways, so yeah, you would upload it, and assuming you're on LAN, which I'm assuming you are probably accessing this on LAN, you're not accessing this over the internet. You can, and you can upload nice stuff over the internet, but that would probably take forever. So assuming you're on LAN, it just take a couple minutes. So once we've done that, we'll go ahead and pop on over to Internet Explorer here. This is our other virtual machine, and we can see that it's still trying to install that. So I'm just gonna go ahead and exit out of here. I'll just minimize this for now. Whoops, I'm gonna close that. Oh, there it goes. Now it's asking me to look for that image, so it's just lagging a lot. I don't know if my laptop's really running that slow or what, but anyway, we'll go ahead and close it right now here. Minimize this, and if we go back to the server view, and I'll see if I can try and find the we'll refresh this page. There it is. I'll see if I can try and find this and open it up in the console. So So let's see if this will do it. Just give it a second. It's Internet Explorer. You shouldn't expect it to actually work. There it goes. So there it is. So there's the test virtual machine. We're going to go ahead and open it up in the console. And this is it. And it says connected to server. Gives all this crap. Sometimes it will say it doesn't connect or it cannot connect, and you can just try and reload it, and usually that will do it. So here we are. This is the actual how it would look if we were running Ubuntu 12.04 desktop and installing it. So it would go through the install process, and once you've installed it, there you have it, your virtual machine running inside the actual server. And I think it's actually really cool. I haven't, like I said, I've been behind on the VE realm. I haven't really done a lot with virtual machines on the actual servers. I've done it a lot on my desktop through like VirtualBox, but it's quite a bit different on here. And what I really like about it is my server is taking care of all the heavy lifting, you know, all the load here. So I don't actually run this on my computer, so I can run really powerful operating systems and stuff on here and take up a ton of resources. And I'm just running a web browser on my computer, so my actual laptop, I can run several operating systems in a window and control them, and it's not taking up virtually any processing power on my laptop because it's just running a web browser. So that's really cool. Another thing is I can access it away from you know, home. So if I wanted to port forward this virtual server, I could, and then I could access this on anyone's computer. Really, I can just pull it up in a web browser and access it at, you know, school, at work, or whatever, and I could pull up my virtual machines. So that's pretty cool. I'll have to look a little bit more into that because I really haven't had time to port forward it and check it out on away from home. I don't know how fast it would be. I don't know really how much bandwidth it takes up or anything like that, but I would imagine not too much. So anyways, you can see that it's really slow right here too. I really don't know if it's normally this slow or what. I may have to play around with the settings a little bit. I'll see if I do have that virtualization in my BIOS settings. I don't think I do on this server, but anyway. So that's it for now. I'm just going to go ahead and close it. So there you guys have it. There's kind of Proxmox and a quick little just, you know, I don't know how long this whole video has been, but there's Proxmox in a bundle. We can see it right there. How we upload the ISOs and actually make the virtual machines. It's pretty nice. It's really, really nice that it runs in a web browser. I love things that run in a web browser. And it works wonders. It's free, you know. It's not like a VMware where you have to pay big bucks for like a you know, license to it or anything. So that's really nice, and it's compatible with VMware. You can export it as VMware images, so that's awesome. So that's pretty much it for this one, guys. I just wanted to show you guys my quick little rundown of Proxmox, and I'm sure we'll be doing more videos on this in the future once I have had a little bit more time to discover and more into this and look more into it. But I just kind of got it running last night and thought I'd do a quick video of it today just to show you guys that I'm finally getting into the virtualization realm. So that's it for this one, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and like always, go to the Hack Hub forums, check it out, you know, become a member. thehackhub.com, forgot to mention to go to the forums, guys, but that's it for this one, and like always, have a good one.